Hello, everyone. My name is Alena Pyn. I am the founder and director of Qatar Youth and Junior Choirs. I'm the first chair of the Sing Qatar, the Association of Choirs in Qatar, and a founding member of the Arab Choral Network, which we will talk to later. It's a great privilege and an honor to be asked to prepare something for such an esteemed audience as this, and I've done my very best, as you can imagine. I want to wish everybody taking part in this first Rovdo International Choral Competition the very, very best of luck. My presentation today is on approaching Arabic choral music. I have a limited amount of experience on this topic just in the last few years with the music I have learned and taught to my own choirs. But I am not an Arabic speaker, and therefore I felt it was only right to invite my esteemed colleagues to help me to present something that is really close to fact and informative, much more informative than I can give. Although I'm so keenly interested in this whole area, believe me. So I spoke with Maestro Barkev Tazlakian, the founder of Feha Choir in Lebanon and a global Arabic choral music ambassador, and also with Dr. Shireen Abu Qadir, composer and arranger from Jordan, a resident of Canada, founder of Dozan wa Autar in Jordan, and the founder of Dozan World, a publishing company, web-based publishing company for Arabic music that's due to launch soon. So it's very timely to give this talk and to invite her to contribute to this talk. I'm very grateful to both. So when we started to debate, does the choir culture exist in this Arabic world, we started to consider what civilizations have actually walked through this region, and colonizations indeed, because only then do the textures and sound and music make sense. There was the Byzantine traditions with two-part voice singing that later evolved, the Romans and the Catholic churches with the SATB choral tradition, the British love for hymns in the service, recitative traditions found not just in Christianity, but also in Islam and Judaism. Also, it's interesting to note the influence of the Armenians who started to travel south and elsewhere, of course, but to travel into the Arabic region around 1915. And their influence is still very much felt today. Most of the orchestras in the Arab world were founded by Armenians, and the main orchestral conductors today in Iraq and Palestine and Lebanon, Syria and Malta all have roots in Armenia. But Arabic a cappella choral singing, real Arabic singing, a cappella choral singing didn't start until Feha Choir was founded 19 years ago. And Maestro Barkev spoke to me about the difficulties at that time, the association with singing, especially for women, as being a more vulgar activity, was preventing people from wanting to join or feeling free to join, that they would have permission from their families to join the choir. And so in his typical ingenuity fashion, he brought his rehearsals to the roadside and opened them to everybody to come and see and hear the songs that they were engaging in, that were not religious per se, but were more folkloric and evoking many memories for the people who came to observe these rehearsals. And they could see then that there was nothing untoward in this activity. And gradually from that point, Feha Choir started to expand and grow. And in 2011, they had the courage to enter Arab's Got Talent, the very first Arab's Got Talent, and were finalists. I wish I had known about it at that time, because I can only imagine the excitement, the frisson across the Arabic regions with that news. And since then, they've grown to a choir of over 120 singers. Feiha Choir has commissioned so many 4-part and 8-part arrangements of folklore songs, traditional Arabic songs, using predominantly Edward Tordekian, composer arranger in Lebanon, but also with Armenian roots, also using other composers. But in addition to this, Maestro Barkev purchased the rights to these arrangements so that he really could live up to his mission to develop and expand Arabic choral music in the world, not to change it, but to develop it. And myself, as director of Qatar Youth and Junior Choirs, and my colleague, the director of Qatar Concert Choir, both were in receipt of a gift of approximately 30 songs, Arabic songs arranged in 4 and 8 parts, free of charge, to explore. A gift to us. It was so wonderful. And he continues on this mission. Along the way, of course, they had to focus on some foundational work and build connections all over the world. And these are just some of the associations that they have links with. They were involved in the first Arab Choir Festival in Jordan in 2007 and 2008. And when they met all these choirs from the region, they then started to teach, to preach the benefits, the beauty of 4-part choral singing, and encouraged the directors to go back to their home countries and try some of this music. And slowly, more 4-part choirs are emerging from these regions. And even in Jordan, there is now Islamic choirs singing, of course, Islamic texts, but in a cappella polyphony, which is fantastic to know that, slowly things are changing, but in little places here and there. So is there a choir culture? Not yet, I think, is the reply, is the answer. And they're also the founding member, one of the founding members of the Arab Choral Network. They were unafraid to use music in the refugee camps for these people who have suffered such tumultuous change in their lives, and turbulence and loss and grief. And Maestro Barkev and his assistants went into the first Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon and started to engage in workshops with the people there, and especially the children. After about 12 weeks, there were reports of an improvement in behavior across the board amongst these children. That through the music, it wasn't just bringing these children together, it was creating peace amongst them, it was stimulating them and just filling them with harmony as opposed to, memories. It was sort of easing everything for them. And the result was that the Ministry of Education invited Maestro Barkev and his team to devise a public schools program. And then they also have been invited to work in Syrian refugee camps in Lebanon. And really the breadth of their work in Lebanon in this field of social projects has been really fantastic. But we can have individual champions here and there, but they can only do so much. They are limited by all that they can do. And really a foundational education program for schools is what is needed. And a former colleague of Dr. Shireen Abu Khader, based in Palestine, Hania Souda, and her daughter together, they have written a bespoke Arabic schools choir curriculum with the all-important teaching aids, so that the teachers in these schools can actually learn how to teach these songs. It can be adopted as either an in-school or an after-school program. It's called Jerusalem Sings, and there are plans for a step 2, if the pilot in September goes well, a Jerusalem Sings to Lebanon to incorporate Lebanese folk songs, or to Syria, and so on. This quote really sums up the choir culture debate, I think. So moving to cultural challenges then for Arabic choral music. Certainly the role of faith and tradition and culture are very, very strong on this subject. And for sure, education and conversation is needed to get past the link with Christianity, the link with religion, as opposed to seeing choral music as being also equally beautiful in secular regard. And also, intelligent conversations to have about connecting song with incorrect living, or indeed connecting this or overcoming this view of music generally as having a negative influence. These are very real point of views. I don't agree with them necessarily, but that's not to say that they are not felt deeply. And informed, educated conversations and workshops and outreach projects need to happen. And it will take time to overcome these challenges, these specific ones. But as conductors, we can already do a lot of the groundwork by really thoroughly investigating the roots of the songs that we choose in Arabic. Who wrote the music? What is its history? Why was it written? That no matter the beauty in the texts, if the author is associated with something that is deemed to be unacceptable in one or other region, then if your audience will be in those regions, it is not a wise thing to adopt one of these songs as part of your program. So it is very, very important. The texts are everything in Arabic choral music. Which leads me to this more technical side of the presentation, looking at these linguistic considerations as short reference to quarter tones, and finally, as conductors, a glance at current repertoire, what's published, what's unpublished, how can I get my hands on it, and what does it sound like? So Dr. Shireen Abu Khader took the lead really on this particular aspect of the conversation, and her expression that music is text-based. In Arabic music, it's all text-based, that you need to understand the pulse of the word, how to pronounce it, and when you do that, then half the music is already written. Follow the word stresses. Of course, spoken Arabic is vastly different really to sung Arabic. And I will come to that, but this discussion on vowels is also relevant, but we need to bear this in mind. So on the vowels, there are just 3 vowels in Arabic, the A, the E, and the U, and the rest of the other vowel sounding letters are just inflections. Pass by them, go to the next consonant. 80% of the A vowel is A sounding, so it's not tall, it's more horizontal. So opening in an A, O, E, as Western singers have learned to do, is not how Arabic sounds and will not bring the right timbre to your music. Feha Choir, together with Maestro Edward Kian, had lengthy discussions in this regard as well, and explored certain vocal techniques, creating a space inside the mouth, almost egg-shaped, but with more horizontal shape on the lips to create the Arabic timbre, but still access the resonance. Much of Arabic is in the throat, but there are 4 strong throat letters. The Q of Qatar, that's how they pronounce it, Qatar. The 3, which stands for an Ain, it's again in the throat, and a KH, which is a K and a G. And for composers and arrangers, balancing these sounds in the higher range is very, very difficult. It's very difficult to get a pianissimo, like an extreme of dynamic in the higher ranges on these particular letters. And so that needs to be considered when setting texts, not to give these letters to higher notes. And of course, practicing to get the resonance, practicing these sounds and understanding how they can affect the tuning as well, and practicing understanding the overall mechanism of the voice concerning these letters will take time. Another feature for Arabic music is, or language, is the closing of the letters, which I found really interesting. So they close to unvoiced consonants or voiced consonants. So here are some sound examples. Dr. Shireen is singing here a long consonant, voiced long consonant. And another one underneath from her Lama Bada Yatathana. She first of all speaks it as you would speak it, and then she articulates the text as you would sing it.
Lama Bada Yatathana. Lama Bada Yatathana.
Really very, very beautiful. And on the unvoiced ones, in the same song, the same arrangement, but the same song, there's this happy, where a Western choir might look at it and sing it as like the long vowel to the B, whereas it should sound. Yeah, I'll play them both again. Sorry. Yeah. And the second one. Okay. And then Maestro Bartkev gave us a different unvoiced example. And he was making the point that it's wrong to treat these unvoiced consonant moments as breath points because it detracts from the Arabic feeling. So listen here to him.
Da, da, da,
three straight tones
طلعت
with Western vowels
طلعت يا
spoken,
طلعت يا
sung in Arabic. Listen once more.
da, 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 طلعت يا طلعت يا طلعت يا.
It's beautiful. So for these reasons, language is the biggest hurdle when considering Arabic choral music, and everything should begin and end with the texts, even for Arabic-speaking choral groups. This, when we consider the what's the movement is what I'm looking for towards inclusivity and diversity in this year in choral music. This topic of study and discussion in Arabic music, the linguistic challenges, is very much needed, and we need more workshops and more education opportunities to study and become more comfortable so that then we can confidently teach this music to our choirs also. Dr. Abu Khader has spent 2 years developing a system that's compliant with the IBA standards. And she says it comprises 2 simple pages, and it's taken her 2 years of work. She's very happy to share this with anybody who is interested. She will gladly share that. And I will be sending her an email myself shortly to follow up with her. So quarter tones is another distinctive feature of Arabic music generally. And playing quarter tones on an instrument, of course, is more easy than singing. It's hard to know as non-Arabic singers how to produce it, how to pronounce it, and how to balance it as composers and arrangers within a 4-part setting. And Maestros Tazlakian and Torikian have found that embedding them in the harmony parts works less well than keeping them on the melodic lines. And Dr. Shireen reminded me that Arabic folklore, folk songs handing down from generation to generation, embraces the facility for and freedom for improvisation of quarter tones on the melodic line. And so she says, like, there's two sides to it. Some composers will decide to actually articulate the ornament on the page, but this is not in line with the choral tradition. However, composers that don't write anything on their scores and leave it up to the conductor to select the soloist or the voice within the melodic line section who could do a nice ornamentation is also a little bit alien to us in the Western repertoire, coming from the Western traditions. But this is what's very beautiful to the Eastern ear, is this improvisation. So in some of the songs we will look to now, you will hear, particularly on the solo moments, you will hear great ornamentation, not sticking to the score at all, really. So that moves us into the repertoire section. So the first one is references this quarter tone. It's an example of quarter tones, a Byzantine Christmas chant using a huzzam mode, and I'll play that for you. So this song is sung in different ways across the region, but in this particular example, it starts with a soloist over the bass. Now I have two different recordings to draw from, the soloist and then the choir part. So there'll be a little bit of screen switching here. So here is the soloist over the bass. So in the choir part then, at section E, our next song is Lau Rahal Sauti, If My Voice Departs. It's written originally by Sami Shukair and it's arranged by Dr. Shireen Abu Khader. It's Syrian in origin and she's voiced it for SATB or SSAA, written as a protest song. If my voice departs, your voices will not. I look until tomorrow and my heart is with you. The lyrics are very universal. The original song is much longer. there are many versions available of it, depending on where you look. And this is a recording featuring Dr. Shireen as the soloist. I hope you enjoy it.
لو رحل صوتي ما بترحل حناجركم عيوني على بكرة وقلبي معكم لو راح المغني بتضل الأغاني تجمع القلوب المكسورة واللي بتعاني لو رحل صوتي ما بترحل حناجركم عيوني على بكرة وقلبي معكم لو راح المغني بتضل الأغاني تجمع القلوب المكسورة واللي بتعاني لو رحل صوتي ما بترحل حناجركم عيوني على بكرة وقلبي معكم لو راح المغني بتضل تجمع القلوب المكسورة واللي بتعاني
Very beautiful. And you can see there's word for word translation, and all the information is contained, the story, etc., and on the composer herself. Badrutam, The Full Moon, is by Abdel Hamid Hammam, a Jordanian, former professor at Jordanian University. It's in the traditional muwasha style, but it's a recent composition written for two voices to choose as you like, tenor, bass, soprano, alto. And so it's almost an exact canon and very simple. I'll open the perusal score. Well, I'll open the perusal score because it takes a little bit of time. Because my sound examples are very short here. So here we go. This is the opening. And that's it. And then the second is this Ya Leil section here at measure 13. I'll just click onto that.
يا ليل يا ليل روح يا ليل 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 أوه يا ليل.
Something interesting here about the texts. You can read these texts. Well, of course, Arabic is read from right to left. The three verses, verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, are written out for us left to right to facilitate us. And then she reads the first verse here, but then shows us how we can also do this song. Listen to this.
بدر تم شمس ضحى غصن نقى مسك شم. Or you can say بدر تم ما أتم لا جرم شمس ضحى ما أوضح من لمح.
So it's a bit of fun. It doesn't have to be the same song every time. Now, this next song is called Yamo. You can see it there. A little bit of debate between my experts as to whether this is Armenian or Syrian in origin. It doesn't matter. It's one exquisite song. It's just exquisite. A tribute to mothers. It's quite famous. It's arranged by Shireen Abu Khader for piano and percussion, or for small ensemble, Arabic ensemble. Have a listen.
تسع شهور وانتي حاملتيني وبعد تعبت كتير تعجبتيني وعذبتك كتير لتربيني وضاعت التربة فيني يا مور يا مور يا مور يا ست الحبايب يا مور يا مور يا مور يا ست الحنايم يا مور. يا ما بردتي يا ما لا تدفيني ويا ما جعتي يا ما لا تطعميني وكم جوز جرابات رقعتيني كل هالشي ما بينيني يا مور.
So I'll stop it there because it's just repeating. But it's a stunning song. The next one that I want to show you is Hal Asmar. Interestingly, I've been now looking at this song and studying it and singing it together with Qatar Concert Choir. And we've studied scores from Torrikian that are Hal Asmar or Yal Asmar or Al Asmar. And this is something that's very peculiar, and not peculiar, but pertinent really to Arabic language. Depending on where you're from, they're all equally correct. It just is a matter of taste or a matter of your region. I don't have a perusal score to show you of Dr. Shireen's version, which I will just play now. It is a long introduction, but Edward Tarakian also has a very lovely arrangement of it, and there are many others. So instrumental is very long. Okay, and we're going to move on to the. Here we go. Not quite. And back to instrumental in between. So there are many voicings for this: SATB, TTB, SSA, SA. Moving on. So Lama Bada Yatathana is, I suppose, one of the more widely distributed and purchased arrangements of Dr. Shireen Abu Khader, an Andalusian love song. Edward Tordekian has also done a very lovely arrangement of it. I don't have a perusal score available to show you. It's published by Earth Songs. I think you will know it. And the other one published by Earth Songs that is around at the moment is called Adenu, and it's a Sufi poem. And this recording is prepared by Andre de Quatros and Dr. Shireen. I'll just start it. So that's enough of that, just to give you a flavor of it. Certainly that's a song that's very suitable for a religious setting. So moving on into unpublished music, apparently there is so much music being written by Arabic composers, and there's just no time to set them and release them to publishers. And it's a very real problem, because as of now, they are the only new published pieces that I'm aware of, or that Dr. Shireen is aware of. There are unpublished works by, for example, this one, Yagazael, by Salvatore Arnita, and it sounds like it's a cracking song. Dance-like, with lilting voice and hand claps. He himself was an organist, so the piano accompaniment apparently is very satisfying for a pianist, for a good pianist. And it sounds like a good song to go to, but it's not published as yet. There's just the script of the vocal part. This one is called Jibrilu by Wadi Safi, again arranged by Shireen Abu Khader, Maronite Christmas hymn, but not published yet. It's all in the works, but just not quite there yet. And then Tub Il Jara. This is a completely new composition by Shireen and a colleague of hers, Nathalie Fachet. And it's a proverb. It translates as bring the clay pot and turn it upside down, which effectively means like mother, like daughter, or it isn't far from the tree, the apple falls. And it's this clay pot percussion sound that you're playing with in the song, this vacuum. And there's also quite a detailed explanation about doing some mouth percussion. It's very fun to do, Shireen was saying, and with a women's choir. So consider that, for example. And then the last piece to mention to you is this song called Beirut for SSAA. It was written by a group, the Hawanem music group, Shireen, Natalie, and then Ranim, Barakat, and Tujan Atari. This song was written after the explosion in Beirut last summer, but not yet ready, not quite published. So here are some of the other composers that you could try to contact direct yourselves. Dr. Shireen and Maestro Barkev say that all of them are really, really busy, actively writing. So there's a load of material out there. If you have your theme ready and you're looking for music, you could contact them directly, or you can contact them through Dozan World, this publishing website that Dr. Shireen is soon to launch. Nair Nagui has these two great songs she mentioned to me, as well as many more. Misak Bagbudarian is in Damascus, also very prolific composer. Bashir Isa in Tartus in Syria, and Marcel Khalifa, of course, in Lebanon, and our old faithful Edouard Torekian. All of them very, very active, and would be very happy to speak with any of you about commissions or their current work. And so to conclude, I just wanted to say that Maestro Barkev Tazlakian has a large library of music already done in 4 and 8 parts of traditional folklore songs. He holds the rights. Please feel free to contact him. He would be delighted to share his knowledge with you. Likewise, Dr. Shireen Abu Khader, she is a font of knowledge and has this IPA transliteration system that she dedicated 2 years of her life to as part of her doctorate. And they both would be so happy to engage with any one of you about any subject to do with Arabic choral music. They're available to do workshops, to travel, or to just join your groups on Zoom, and you can book them for anything. And I'm so very, very grateful to them both. I want to thank them both sincerely for their immense contribution to what I've just presented to you, and also to the Associate Professor Inessa Bodiaco for this great opportunity. And finally, I just want to say, I hope I've whetted your appetite for more Arabic choral repertoire, that you might be encouraged to have a go. These pieces are quite accessible to us all. And perhaps with an eye to the World Choral Symposium of Music that's coming to Qatar at the end of 2023 in December and January 2024, you might already start looking at some of these songs and consider including them in your program and considering coming to Qatar. We're waiting for you all. There will be details announced about the call for choir and the call for speakers soon, but the World Choral Symposium will be waiting for all of you to come to Qatar. So that's it. Thank you so much.